There is a house in Cherry Hill, New Jersey that sits under a blanket of wildflowers. You could walk right past it and never know it was there. Inside, the temperature holds at 68 degrees year-round. No furnace, no air conditioner. The energy bill for climate control is zero. That building has worked this way since 1971. You cannot legally build one like it in most American cities. The reason has nothing to do with safety or engineering. This is the story of the architect who proved that the best place to put a building is underground, who spent 45 years fighting to make it legal, and why a $750 billion industry made sure he failed. But stay until the end, because there is a company in Illinois that found a way around the code, and they have done it more than 300 times. 6 feet below the surface of the earth, something remarkable happens. The temperature stops changing. While the air above swings from negative 10 degrees to 100 degrees through the year, the ground at 6 feet holds steady between 50 and 58 degrees Fahrenheit. The Department of Energy has measured this. It is not a theory. It is a physical constant. Think about what that means for a house. A conventional home in Kansas City on a 20-degree winter day has to overcome a 50-degree temperature gap to keep the interior at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. A home surrounded by 55-degree earth only needs a 15-degree boost. That is an 80% reduction in the energy required to heat the building. In summer, the math flips. The earth is cooler than your target temperature. You do not need air conditioning. You need nothing. The University of Minnesota tested this across 5 earth-sheltered homes in the late 1970s. Every single one recorded heating costs at or near zero. An architect in New Jersey had been saying this for a decade. Nobody listened. His name was Malcolm Wells. Born 1926 in Camden, New Jersey. He was a Marine Corps veteran. He never finished college, but he scored a perfect mark on the state architecture licensing exam in 1953. For his first decade, he did exactly what the industry wanted. He built shopping centers and corporate buildings, and he spread, as he put it, corporate asphalt on America in the name of architecture. Then, in 1964, 3 things happened at once. He visited Frank Lloyd Wright's Taliesin West, and he stepped from scorching desert into a theater buried under earth. The temperature dropped 30 degrees in a single doorway. He watched a building he designed for the World's Fair get demolished the day after it closed. 3 men close to him died in the same year. He said it kicked him into getting serious about life. His conclusion was 4 words: buildings should go underground. He published an article called Nowhere to Go But Down. The architecture magazine was flooded with letters calling him insane. He did not care. He built his own office underground in Cherry Hill, brick and concrete nestled into a knoll, covered in earth and wildflowers. Visitors were stunned by the silence, even though truck traffic ran 20 feet away. The temperature never needed mechanical adjustment. He went on to design dozens of earth-sheltered structures. He taught at Harvard despite having no degree. He wrote 12 books, all hand-lettered and illustrated with watercolors, and sold over 120,000 copies. The New York Times called him the leader of the underground architecture movement. The American Institute of Architects made him a fellow. But here is the part that should stop you. Almost none of it made it into the building code, and the reason involves $750 billion a year, where that sum shapes rules, lending, and insurance in ways that shut these ideas out. The International Residential Code requires every habitable room to have windows equal to at least 8% of floor area. When 3 of your 4 walls are buried in earth, meeting that requirement on a single exposed face is nearly impossible. The code requires every bedroom to have an emergency escape window with a clear opening of 5 square feet. That means cutting a massive hole through the earth berm that makes the house work. But the code is only the first wall. The Federal Housing Administration and the Veterans Administration explicitly exclude earth-sheltered homes from construction loan programs. Their reason is that comparable sales do not exist. but comparable sales cannot exist because you cannot get financing to build them. It is a perfect closed loop. Insurance companies cannot find comparables either. Appraisers cannot establish value. And the one institution that proved the concept worked, the University of Minnesota Underground Space Center, had its funding cut in the Reagan era and closed its doors in 1995. Their Earth-Sheltered Housing Guide sold 250,000 copies. It documented 75% energy savings. Congress never asked why the research stopped. Now look at who benefits from homes that need constant repair. The HVAC industry generates $156 billion a year. 62% of that is replacement and retrofit. The roofing industry brings in $76 billion. 79% of that is re-roofing existing buildings, add siding, remodeling, and materials. And you reach $750 billion a year, flowing through an economy that depends on houses falling apart. An earth-sheltered home has no roof to replace, no siding to maintain, no exterior to paint, and heating bills close to zero. That home is not a customer, it is a threat. But someone kept building anyway. In 1976, an electrician in Armington, Illinois was paying $400 a month to heat and cool a rental house. He built an earth-sheltered home for $15,000. That first winter, a reporter ran the numbers and wrote the headline. Illinois man heats home for $1.29. That was the price of chainsaw fuel to cut firewood. His name was Andy Davis, and the publicity launched Davis Caves Construction. After Andy died in 1995, his son Marty took over. They have now built more than 300 earth-sheltered homes across the country. Homeowners report electric bills of $10 a month and interior temperatures that never drop below 58 degrees, even with zero heat running. In upstate New York, a man named Rob Roy built a 2,000 square foot earth-sheltered home for $27,000 and heated it through 9,000 degree day winters for $75 a year. He ran a building school for 40 years, teaching others to do the same, and architect William Morgan built 2 homes inside a sand dune on the Florida coast in 1975. They have survived 50 years of hurricanes. They maintain 70 degrees year-round. They are on the National Register of Historic Places. The evidence is not hiding. After the January 2025 Los Angeles fires destroyed 16,000 structures, the California Earth Institute saw interest surge 131%. Every open house sold out. The Los Angeles Times ran a front page story with a headline that said it all. My next home must be fireproof. In Minnesota, the only state that legally prohibits zoning bans on underground construction, earth-sheltered homes have operated for decades with no structural failures. In Switzerland, an architect named Peter Vetsch has built 70 earth houses that use 1/3 the energy of conventional homes. The physics have not changed since Malcolm Wells stepped into that cool underground theater in 1964. The ground beneath your feet is still 55 degrees. The code is still written by the people who sell what that house does not need. And the only question left is how long a $750 billion industry can keep the best building method in history buried.